Yeah, okay.
Well, good morning everyone, and thank you very much for the lovely guitar music that we started. We are here today to celebrate the founding of Morrison's Academy. So we're all gathered round the Queen's Lawn. The rain has stopped, the sun is shining, and the wind is blowing. So it really is the heart of Scotland in action. But we're celebrating the founding of Morrison's Academy in 1860. So we're effectively saying happy birthday to all of us and happy birthday to our school, and acknowledging the generosity in particular of our founder, Thomas Morrison. And it was his philanthropy that enabled the setting up of our school in Crieff. And it was for the benefit of all in the Strathearn and Crieff community. And philanthropy is the desire to promote the welfare of others, usually through a generous act of giving, such as Thomas Morrison. But we also pay tribute to many others who have given and donated generously to our school over the years. In particular, more recently, did you know that the primary playground was actually made possible due to the generosity of Henry Vick, a Morrisonian? And another Morrisonian who made a donation, which is actually similar in value to the donation of our founder, Thomas Morrison, was Thomas Dunsire. Both Henry Vick and Thomas Dunsire had a great love of our school, and you can find Thomas Dunsire on the Honours Boards in Memorial Hall. And the next time you're there, try and find him. You can also look at McCrosty Medal winners, who include Henry Vick's father, brother and nephew. So really, they are fully invested in our school and through our DNA. And it's important that we recognise their generosity and impact on us and our school, but we also understand more about their philanthropic spirit. I'm going to pass over to Kerry.
Thomas Morrison was born in Mewthal in 1761. He apprenticed as a stonemason and worked for a time in Auchterarder before moving to Edinburgh, where he became a successful master builder. He started his own business and built much of the new town north of Queen Street, including Morrison Street and Morrison Circus, which were named after him. Thomas Morrison died in 1820 in Edinburgh and is buried in the graveyard of St Cuthbert's Church. He was a bachelor and had no children, so he instructed the trustees of the estate to erect and endow an institution to promote the interests of mankind, having a particular regard to the education of youth and the diffusion of knowledge. The trustees decided upon a school to be named Morrison's Academy, and as there were already sufficient schools in Edinburgh, they looked to Mewthal instead. It took 40 years to find the right location, the Tris Cattle Park in Crieff. During this time, his gift had grown to £20,000, which today would be in the region of £1.2 million. The site, a beautiful one in the estates of Drummond Castle, was about 10 acres, sheltered by the Knock and commanding a panoramic view of a large part of Strathearn. In 1859, building started and Reverend Ogilvie, our first rector, was appointed. In 1860, our old school building was opened and the first Morrisonians, or boys, arrived. They were joined the following year in 1861 by our first girls.
The next benefactor we want to bring to your attention is John Smith. But who is John Smith, and why do we have both a building and a holiday named after him? John Smith attended Morrison's Academy between 1883 and 1885. While at Morrison's Academy for only a short time, he described his time here as one of the happiest times of his life, and as a result, he became one of our greatest benefactors. In 1926, John Smith was very generous to our school and gave a gift of £950 towards the construction of swimming baths. He also presented a challenge cup and a shield for the best swimmers in the boys and girls schools. £950 doesn't sound like a very large amount of money today, but in 1926 it was enough to buy a nice family home. A year later, he generously donated further, enabling the school to build the armoury and rifle range, which we still use today. In 1937, upon hearing of the school's need for new facilities, John Smith stepped forward again with a sum of £70,000 to help the school. The school sent a telegram of thanks and admiration, and Monday, 1st of February 1937 was declared the first John Smith holiday. John Smith's legacy enabled the creation of a fine stone structure that was in keeping with the original building of 1860. Today, the John Smith building houses our STEM suite, science and art departments. At the time, the Morrisonian magazine said, "This benefaction amounts to the refoundation of the Academy, and for all time to come, the name of John Smith will be held in equal veneration with that of Thomas Morrison."
Thomas Dunsire. Thomas Dunsire was the epitome of a Morrisonian, a great all-rounder as a pupil, and throughout his life was highly committed to supporting Morrison's Academy. Thomas Dunsire was born in Burma in 1926, where his father was an engineer. He was sent back to Scotland for his education and came to Morrison's Academy in 1933. He was both a gifted pupil and athlete. He was the captain of the cricket first 11 and the rugby first 15, and in 1942 he was the Ducks medalist and the school captain. Upon leaving, he was also awarded a governor's bursary. His involvement with Morrison's Academy, however, did not stop when he left school. He was a lifetime supporter, donating his time, expertise, enthusiasm and energy. He was a member of the Centenary Committee who arranged the school celebration in 1960. He was a rugby coach and also became a governor in 1972, fulfilling the role for 24 years and was chairman for 12 of them. He also helped arrange the historic Queen's visit in 1985, where Queen Elizabeth and her husband Prince Philip planted the trees here on our Queen's lawn. Thomas Dunsire was a champion of the school. He encouraged masters, pupils and parents. He was a charming, courteous and had a great generosity of spirit. Even after his death, his generosity continued in the legacy of the substantial Dunsire Fund that was gifted to the school in 2015, which has helped us to invest in our campus and will continue to do so for many years to come.
This morning you have heard about 3 very notable benefactors to Morrison's Academy. However, there are many other examples of philanthropy within our school community. From donating money to worthy causes or volunteering time, our community thrives on being helped by and helping others. There are many former pupils who have contributed gifts to our school. From James Gardner, who donated the oak panelling in Memorial Hall as a memorial to those who fell in the Great War, to the gifting of the conditioning suite from the Morrisonian Club Committee, to A.M. Wilson, who bought the lands at our Delary playing fields. Our school history is full of generous acts. A recent generous act was the legacy from former pupil Henry Vick, who left us with £250,000. Henry's kind donation enabled us to build 2 new primary school playgrounds last year. Henry loved Morrison's and the school was a very big part of his life. Henry came to Morrison's Academy in 1963 as a 9-year-old, following in the footsteps of his father, uncle, brother and cousins. Henry grew up here in Crieff, in the Ogilvie and Dalmore boarding houses, climbing the knock, building firm friendships here in the school and on the rugby pitch, the cricket square and the athletics field. Henry left Morrison's Academy in 1973 at the age of 18 and liked to regularly visit the school, recalling his days here as some of the happiest of his life. Generosity comes in many forms. There are those who have dedicated their time, knowledge and experience for the benefit of us, the pupils. Our chairperson, our governors, the members of our archive team, the Morrisonian Club Committee and MAPA, the School's Parents Association, willingly give their time to help the school and further our education. We don't have to look far to see how we pupils benefit from their acts of kindness. These acts are an inspiration, but equally we inspire them. As pupils, we may not be able to build a new playground or buy land, but we do live up to our values of being caring and connected and regularly demonstrate this. Last week, as a school community, we baked, sold and bought enough cakes to raise £1,186 for the Macmillan Trust. We participate in the Youth and Philanthropy Initiative, YPI, to raise the awareness of and funds for our chosen charities. We make up gift boxes for the Blythe's Wood Christmas Box Appeal, and many of us raise funds for charities independently. We are a caring community. Working together, we can help to ensure that everyone around us feels cared for and thrives. We all have the ability to make a difference.
What Hamish says is absolutely right. We all do have the ability to make a difference. Every one of you here today, from primary 1 right through to S6, can actually see an injustice and do something about it. I want to give you an example of a 5-year-old girl, Hannah Taylor, who, when she saw a homeless man eating out of a bin a cold winter's day, said to her parents, why couldn't everyone just share what they have to end homelessness? She wasn't really satisfied with the answer she was given, and at the age of 8, she founded the Ladybug Foundation, which has raised over $3 million in Canada to fight homelessness. She is also the founder of the Ladybug Foundation education programme, through which resources are used in schools across the world to empower young people to get involved and make change in their world. Another young person, a 12-year-old Craig Kielberger, was reading a story about Iqbal Masih, a 12-year-old former child slave in Pakistan, who was murdered because he had spoken up for human rights in his country. Craig realised that but for the fate of where he'd been born, he could have been Iqbal. From there, he determined that he had to do something. And with the help of some classmates and his brother, he created the charity Free the Children. It's an organisation that empowers with a mission to free children and their families to lift themselves from poverty and exploitation. He also created an Adopt a Village programme dedicated to development that provides access to the 5 key pillars of education, clean water, sanitation, healthcare, food security and alternative income. A combination of key interventions that have empowered a community to lift themselves out of poverty. Finally, in 2006, 2 young boys, Garrett and Kyle Weiss, were attending the World Cup in Germany. There was a game between Iran and Angola that they attended, and they were talking to some Angolan fans, and they discovered that actually it's not a great opportunity to play football in Angola. These 2 boys had taken for granted the football boots, the shin guards, the pitches that they played on in their home country, and then they thought we need to make a difference. So they founded the charity Fund a Field. And it was to help children in less fortunate areas of the world so that they could play football. In addition to having built 10 football pitches around the world, Fund a Field supports the rehabilitation and recovery process in post-conflict and post-trauma regions around the world. So there's 3 young children who have made a massive difference to the world. And we, as Morrison's Academy, underpin this philanthropic spirit. We have a strong culture of care for others and seek ways to connect more closely with our community. Through the generous legacy of our founder and others who have followed, thousands of Morrisonians, including yourselves, have benefited from an education encouraging you to strive for the highest and develop confidence, resilience and skills to succeed. Education has the power to change the world. And thanks to the legacy of our benefactors, you are given the tools to grow and prosper as an individual with the encouragement and support of our family. Every one of you here today is privileged. You're privileged to be part of our community and to have the friends you have. You're privileged to be in a school with teachers and resources. You're privileged to have a home with someone to look after you. And you're privileged to live in a country with clean water, roads, hospitals. I was listening to a podcast called Leading with Chris Hipkins, the New Zealand Prime Minister, who was the guest. And he said, if you're doing well, you have a responsibility to share the benefits. He is absolutely right. We may have difficult days and tough times, but we are doing well and we have a social responsibility to help others. Now, last year I did talk about how we all can leave a legacy through our actions. Every one of us does have the ability to change, make the world a better place, create a worthwhile legacy. And there's a lovely sentiment from Pablo Picasso, the artist, who said, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Because no one ever became poor by giving. If you're always there for others, then in time of need, someone will be there for you. And this is one of my favourite Greek proverbs, which states, a society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they will never sit. So I want you to think today, how can you plant a seed that helps someone other than yourself and helps those that will follow you? Because there is no better exercise for your heart than reaching down and helping to lift someone up. Every one of us here today can make the world a better place. So please remember our founders, that's what they have done, and remember that all of you, that's your duty and your privilege to be able to do. Thank you very much. and happy birthday, Morrison's Academy. You may see some cake around the school during break.